Well, despite tough economic times, nurses have followed the lead of police and secured a bigger pay rise than the state government wanted to give them. So what does that mean for public servants and teachers who are next in line for an industrial showdown? Kirsten Vaness reports.
Spirits were high as nurses walked into Festival Hall to the sound of their campaign anthem. And nurses were hopeful the 9-month campaign they had waged would soon be over.
Hopefully the government's finally recognising that they can't keep screwing nurses.
We've kept on because we really believe that we're doing the right thing by our patients.
And I think we'll win this fight because we always do.
And they were right. The ANF State Secretary Lisa Fitzpatrick had a rousing reception, and so too did the deal she brokered. She secured the top item on the nurses' wish list of nurse-to-patient ratios.
There will be no health assistance as part of nurse-patient ratios.
As for wages, the union wanted an increase of 18.5% over 3.5 years. They got pay rises of between 14% and 21% over 4 years. Nurses at the meeting seemed happy with that, and the deal was easily passed.
Our patient ratio is here to stay.
And I'm just distressed and distraught that it had to take so long for the government to see sense.
While it has been a long and at times bitter battle, the public has always been on the nurses' side. Although the government did try to spin it otherwise.
It is increasingly difficult to deal with the ANF where they are prepared to flout the law, prepared to take illegal action, prepared to take targeted action that puts patients at risk.
Then the union was handed PR gold when the Premier's relative Marshall Baillieu made his feelings known.
Everyone needs a nurse in this state at some point, even Marshall Baillieu. You take your friends where you give them, and it was a gift.
I mean, we had 96%.
Greg Davies is the head of the Police Association, which also recently achieved a surprisingly generous deal for its members. He says popularity helps, but it's not everything.
Everybody loves a nurse, and I think Dean Meyer once said, if you deny the nurses, it's like shooting Bambi. Everybody loves a nurse. It doesn't necessarily make it easier to get a successful pay campaign over the line.
Very thankful for...
Senior Sergeant Davies spoke to Lisa Fitzpatrick to offer his advice about dealing with the government.
We had a brief conversation about how the association got to where it got, and we took them through the outcomes of our deal. But that was a very brief conversation, and no more than that.
Some have criticised the ANF for not taking a tough enough stance and doubted the outcome.
I'd be absolutely amazed if it settles without the union having to give away something substantial.
One thing the nurses have used to their advantage is social media. The union's Facebook page has received more than 15,000 likes.
I think it is a significant number, perhaps not on a global scale for a global political movement, but in terms of a Victoria statewide event, absolutely, it is very significant.
And it certainly caught the state government's attention. Nurses say lawyers for the government had written to them last month about their Facebook page, demanding any comments which assist the taking of industrial action be removed.
It's pretty hard to ignore figures like that. I know many politicians' Twitter pages and Facebook pages have done woefully badly in comparison.
So if it was a victory for the nurses, what then was it for the state government?
This is an outcome I think Victorians can be proud of, and the government is very proud of it.
But the Health Minister won't reveal the concessions it says it's achieved until the deal is signed on Wednesday.
My understanding is that this is squarely within government wages policy. Government wages policy has been stated publicly many times, is 2.5% per annum. Happy to say that there is a more productive arrangement in the deal, and the details will be public at the relevant time.
The industrial warfare isn't over for the government. The state's public servants have their sights firmly set on a similar outcome. Teachers want much more.
What I hope is that the Baillieu government will rethink their confrontational attitude to negotiations, and that when we meet next Thursday we see a different offer on the table.
And if the police and nurses are anything to go by, unions will be standing their ground.